Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. As you all know, the purpose of this channel is to not only educate and inform, but it's also to expose the double standards and the hypocrisy and the ineffectiveness of our government. Around 8 or 9 years ago, I filed 2 complaints against 2 different police officers who I believe were in violation of their policy. In one complaint, I had an Austin police officer follow me through a shopping center parking lot and waited for me to exit a Burger King drive-thru, all because I previously recorded him in an encounter. And in that complaint, the investigator justified the police officer's actions. APD Policy 301, responsibility to the community. Impartial attitude and courtesy. Employees will perform all duties objectively and without regard to personal feelings and animosities. 301, customer service and community relations. The conduct of each employee reflects on the agency as a whole, and the burden of achieving the agency's community relations objectives is shared. APD Policy 302, in which they establish and confirm that you do have the right to record our police officers. So in this policy, they state that officers shall not in any way threaten, intimidate, or otherwise discourage an individual from recording officers' enforcement activities. Any reasonable person who watches the video can come to the conclusion that the manner in which this officer chose to conduct themselves does not align with APD policy. Austin Internal Affairs investigator Mark Herring disagreed. He actually dismissed my complaint and justified the officer's actions. The full video will be in the description below. In my second complaint, I had a group of officers detain me for lawfully recording a public building and an officer's activities in a parking lot from a position where I had a legal right to be. APD Policy 302, interaction with community. Officers are reminded that photography, including videotaping of places, buildings, structures, and events, are common and normally lawful activities. Officers are reminded that this activity by itself does not constitute suspicious conduct. And additionally, officers shall not demand that person's identification and detain that person. Austin Police Internal Affairs investigator James Bujima disagreed. Not only did he dismiss my complaint and justify the officer's actions, he stated that if Mr. Turner would have just handed over his ID, the encounter would have been over, just completely dismissing the complaint and the policy altogether. This incident resulted in a lawsuit which was later settled. After finding out the results of these complaints, I filed 2 new complaints against the investigators themselves, Mark Herring and James Bujima. After the 2 complaints were filed, I created a poll on the community page so that way you guys could predict what would happen. Well, now you guys won't have to wait any longer.
Hello, this is Kevin Masters with the Office of Police Oversight.
Hey Kevin, this is Mr. Turner.
Hey, sir, thank you for calling me back. Hold on just a second, let me close my door. Alrighty, thank you, and I apologize for the phone tag. And FYI, we are on a recorded line. All of our conversations are recorded. It's okay to continue.
Okay.
Did you say yes?
Oh yes, that's fine.
Okay, great. So here's kind of what's going on. We've reviewed your file, and just based on the review of, it looks like all the complaints, but the specific 2 that you filed last Friday, 0529, 0726, we show that both complaints were fully adjudicated, not only by the police department, but on one of the complaints there was an actual conversation or some kind of communication between you and staff who was here in the Office of Police Oversight back then. So I can't tell you what happened only because I wasn't here in 2015. But what our computer records show that they both were adjudicated. I understand that you want to make a complaint as it relates to how the investigation was conducted, but the adjudicated nature of the complaint and the fact that it's reflected in the computer that there was some dialogue between you and this office back then, we are not, or we've decided we're not going to take any new complaints on this investigation that's been closed, and the incident occurred, 7 or 8 years ago. So we're not going to forward the complaints to Internal Affairs. We see them as closed matter.
All right, and that decision was based on what?
On the facts that they reflect to be adjudicated in the ICM system, in the database.
When you mean adjudicated, are you saying that?
That they've been reviewed, investigated, and closed.
Right, but again, the complaints that were filed were against the investigators and how they investigated the complaints. It's not about the incident per se itself.
I thoroughly understand what you're saying.
So what you're saying is that you can make a complaint against the police officers, but you can't make a complaint against the investigators.
No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is you filed a complaint about an investigation that happened in 2015. We don't have really any records of how the investigation was conducted, but we do have records that on one of the cases there was some kind of communication between you and the Office of Police Oversight, and that both cases have been closed. So we don't have any facts or any material to go on to open a new complaint on a 7-year-old investigation.
So you're saying that you don't even have the only thing that you see in your system.
We don't have jurisdictions. We've got specific jurisdiction, and we don't have jurisdiction to open a complaint on an adjudicated complaint that we don't have. That there's literally no record, except we see that there was a complaint, we see that it was investigated, we see that it was adjudicated, we see that there was communication between you and the Office of Police Oversight back then, but we don't have any of the details because the records are so old. So, and I can't really debate it with you. That's just a decision that's been made by supervision in the office.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure that I clearly understand what you're saying. I'm not really debating. I'm just trying to make sure I understand. I just want to be clear that, so when you say that the records, you guys are not able to find the records, or maybe the records are gone, are you saying that the pretty much like the instruments that were used by the investigators to come to that conclusion are missing?
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm really trying to wrap my head around this to see what would be missing for you guys to proceed with the investigation. Are you still there, Mr. Kevin?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure if you heard my question.
Oh, that was a question? I thought it was a statement. Well, what's your question? I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm saying, are you saying that the instruments or documents that were used by the investigators to come to the conclusion in their investigation, are you saying that information's missing?
I'm not saying anything is missing, and I can't divulge what's in the police database and their systems. And you would have to contact the police department internal affairs unit to get that question answered. And the way that can be done would be simply to call the internal affairs division and tell them that you're trying to, I guess, ascertain whether or not there's an active or not an active, but if there are records related to, and then you've got the complaint number 2015-0726, 2015-0529. You would have to call them and ask them if they have documents and or records specific to those investigations. I can't tell you what's in the police system. It's a violation of state law for me to divulge that information to you.
Okay.
But if you want to call them and ask them, I'm happy to give you the number.
Yes, I'll take the number from you.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
It's 512-974-8501.
Okay, got it. And
these systems that we use here in the Office of Police Oversight, it's a database that is administered by the police department. By city ordinance, they have to grant us access to their system so that we can make sure that the investigations they're doing are unbiased, not tilting one way or another, but are fair. And so information that the question that you're asking me, it would require me to divulge what's in their system. And that's illegal by state law. I can't do that. It's not that I'm trying to evade your question. You're just asking one that I can't answer. There's an answer to it. I just can't give it to you.
Okay. Well, let me ask it another way. Did the office of OPO reach out to investigation to confirm if there were still documents there or instruments that were used in that particular investigation?
We have access into their system.
Okay, so pretty
The
much.
same databases they use, we have access to their system by ordinance.
So you guys can see the exact same thing that Internal Affairs can see.
Yes.
Okay. And then you guys just came to the conclusion that because the information is not there, you guys can't process the complaint. Or not process the complaint, you guys can't forward it over to Internal Affairs to investigate.
I would say that's part of the conclusion. That's one leg of the conclusion. Yes.
Okay. And then is there something else that I should be understanding here as far as the other leg or the other half?
Well, I think the other half is, that's one. The second one is it shows to be adjudicated, and by policy we don't take new complaints on adjudicated cases. And the third would be we see that there was some dialogue. We don't have all the details, but there was some dialogue between you and this office at the time you filed those complaints and at the time they were closed, which is why I say I'm not for sure. I can't tell you what happened because I wasn't here, but what I can see is someone from this office contacted you back in 2015 to communicate with you that the cases would be closed. It doesn't tell me what the results of that conversation was, how it went, but it does tell me that you were contacted and there was a communication between you and this office that your case would be closed. And that's the extent of what information I have.
Gotcha. Yeah, so that kind of comes right back, it kind of circles right back to the statement what I said that, you really can't even file a complaint against the internal affairs investigations because once the investigation's done, that's it. It's pretty much like it's final. Like there's no overriding authority to make sure that it was an impartial and fair investigation. You kind of see where that looks. I'm not trying to debate. I'm just having an honest dialogue here.
Yeah, and based on your interest of having an honest dialogue, that's my same outcome is to have an honest dialogue. I mean, that's the whole intent of the Office of Police Oversight. I get it's a controversial office. I get there's some. I don't work for the police department. I work for the city of Austin, and I'm proud that my job is to make sure that Internal Affairs is conducting fair and unbiased investigations. I do that to the best of my ability, and I take my job serious. And so, my honest and transparent conversation is that's my job, and I take my job serious to make sure that investigations conducted by IAD are unbiased. So, and I get that if some people don't like the results, they go, well, it was biased, and OPO is just in bed with them, and they're one of them. I get all that, and I don't control that, and in all honesty, I don't have a comment to that. My comment is my role is to make sure that the investigations that I'm involved with or this office is involved with are unbiased, not tilted. They're just to find the facts of what happened so that decisions can be made down the line.
Okay.
That's what we do on a daily basis, and sometimes people agree with us, and sometimes they don't.
Okay, and I guess my last question would be, who made the, or can I get the name of the person who, I guess, made the ultimate decision to not forward this over to Internal Affairs?
Yeah, Supervisor Daniel Ellis.
Oh, Daniel. I guess the gentleman that I saw you with on Friday, I believe.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the supervisor of the complaint division.
Okay. Now that's very interesting that you say that. I had a discussion with Daniel before, but I won't get into it now. But all right, thank you for your time, Mr. Kevin. I appreciate this.
Yeah, and I would encourage you. Like I say, I get it. It's a controversial office. Some people think that we're in bed with the police department or, that we're biased and tilt things their way. What I would encourage you to do is if you have a complaint against a police officer, to bring it to us and let us advocate on your behalf to make sure that whatever investigations that are done are done fair and unbiased.
Yeah, I get it. I mean,
All right.
just to sum it up, it was a fair and valid complaint, but, I just find it very interesting that this is how it ends. But thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
All right. Be safe, sir.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And there you have it. That's how it ends, apparently. So apparently Internal Affairs has qualified internal immunity. There's no way that we can actually file complaints against the investigators themselves. Let me know what you guys think about this video in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next one.